I'm Angela and this is Pete, and we live in Herne Bay in Kent. I just got a little bit too old for doing it the way I was doing it before. I used to just go to a car showroom and get a Motability car from their dealer. I was nervous. I wasn't sure what to expect. I was a little bit nervous when it came to filling out forms, so when they said they were going to send me this form, that was a bit worrying. But quite quickly I was relieved because they said they would fill it out for me. Because I was a bit nervous about filling out the form, that I just needed to gather some information and she would call me back on a pre-arranged day. So I think I had about a week to get the information that I needed, and she called me back and we filled out the forms. We didn't really know whether we qualified for any extra help or anything else, but we didn't know what was out there. We just phoned up just to see if there was any help we could get. I had a Ford Focus estate, so I would get Pete out of the wheelchair and put him in the front seat, stand him up from my wheelchair because I can't stand at all. So I would stand him up, put him in the front seat, swing his legs across, get his seatbelt on, shut the door. Then I would drive this wheelchair around to the back of the car, dismantle the top half of the wheelchair, remove the foot plates, remove the tray, remove the talker, put that all down on the floor. Then I would get gutter ramps like the taxi ramps, but the two thin ones. I would put them on the boot of the car. Then I would drive this wheelchair, the bottom half of this wheelchair, up backwards from my chair, up backwards into the boot of the car, onto the left-hand side. Then I would put all the pieces that were left over into place. I'd put all the pieces into place, because if you didn't do it in exactly the right order, it didn't go. Then I would transfer into another wheelchair, and I would then take the wheels off this one, put the back down, pick this one up, put that into the boot, put the wheels on top, and then I would go around in the other manual chair and get into the front seat. The whole process used to take about half an hour if it wasn't raining. If it was raining, 45 minutes, because the ramps would get wet, so it would slip. Well, it's a Mercedes Sprinter, beautiful. It's got a tail lift on the back. I've had the front passenger seat removed, so Pete just rides straight into the front and he's up the front with me. And he's got a bolt on the bottom of his wheelchair. There's a metal plate on the bottom, on the floor, built into the floor of the car. And as he rides over the plate, it locks him in. And then we have both have a button. Both have this button, so we can open the back door, put the tail lift down, and then close it when we're inside the car. And then I've got my driver's seat has got a button that you push and it turns, it goes back into the driver's position, so I can just slide across. I use hand controls as well, so it's just a push-pull mechanism that attaches to the brake and the accelerator. It's an automatic vehicle.
We thought they were joking us when we did save, and we thought it is beautiful, but how much it is going to cost us.
Yeah, our big first worry was when we saw what they wanted to give us was how much it was going to cost. So we were over the moon when we realised we could afford it, and then very, very excited that we was going to be driving around in a Mercedes.
Hi, I'm Dave Morgan. I'm one of the assessors at the assessment centre here in Harlow, where we provide a facility for customers to be assessed so that we can recommend relevant controls for their cars. Here at Harlow we're able to provide a range of vehicles, some drive from wheelchair, some internal transfer and some accessed in the standard way. The controls that we provide everything through from basic things like pedal extensions, light and power steering, hand controls, and then on to the more complicated controls such as the high-tech joysticks. Okay, on this vehicle here, we have a few simple adaptations that we can fit. This one here is a push-pull accelerator, yeah? Pull to accelerate, push to brake. Normally used for paraplegics or people who've got poor leg operation, yeah? So as well on this, we have a steering ball or a steering aid. But also on this, an infrared or can be radio remote control that has indicators, high-low beam and a few other items on there. Up front here, we've got a normal gear selector on an automatic car. One of the things we can do to this, if the customer doesn't have a lot of pressure in the thumbs, is we can actually remove this button here. So that can be removed, and that makes it easier to select the gears. If the customer still cannot operate the lever of this kind within the car, we can then fit a little item like this down here called electronic gear selection. It's as simple as that, push button gear selection. As long as the customer has enough pressure, downward pressure to do this, then the customer can select the gears. As well as this, because of the way we build these vehicles, a handbrake down on the floor is just a trip hazard or something else to reach down and grab. So therefore, here we've placed a park and brake push button handbrake. It's as simple as that. As well as the sort of like standard controls, the fairly basic ones, there are other controls we can use for people with high level disabilities where there's little range of movement and strength. On my left here, you can see some units, and these are the various units we can use, plug into our vehicles and let the customer have a test drive on these. The first one here is a joystick. This is the lightest one we can have, and it simply operates steer left, steer right. The next one along is for a customer with a bit more movement, but without the strength, yeah? And this one is a simple, small steering wheel, yeah? That turns as simple as that. Next to this is another joystick, which again is very light to use, but this is an accelerator and a brake. This is the lightest one we can get, yeah? Next to this is one that's very common and we see a lot of, is called the electronic gas and brake, the EGB. It's a simple forward movement for braking and reverse movement for accelerating. This one, right, is operated with a single hand use and can go in any direction, steer right, steer left, brake and accelerate, but again is very complicated because we'd have to put on the top a button or use the head to operate some kind of button for indicators, lights and wipers. Okay, when you come to the centre or when we're visiting your home, there's a few things we'll look at to start leading us in the direction we need to go to provide you with correct equipment. This would be the range of movement that you have, your strengths and the condition that you have and how it affects you on a day-to-day basis. We do this by doing the physical range of movements tests. We also ask you lots of questions and we get you to do a few exercises, which are simple, straightforward stuff that you've probably done at your GPs quite a few times. From that, we can then sort of like work out what we're going to have to put in the vehicle before we take you outside.
It sounds really cheesy, but it has changed our life completely. Pete being able to get in and out of the vehicle, well, both of us being able to get in and out of the vehicle completely by ourselves. It's given us more energy. It's made our life, it's made it meant to be able to enjoy more things in a day. Because before we would only have, if we'd have been bothered, we'd have only done one thing. Now we can do 5 or 6 things in a day, you know. If I run out of milk at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can go to Tesco. We can do short journeys. We never used to do short journeys in the car because it took too long to do it. And so now we can do short journeys. It's fantastic. We can both pop to the shops. Where if I was popping to the shops before, Pete wouldn't bother coming because it was too much effort.
And I was feeling bad too, go through my jobs, and it was more unnatural.
That's it. You used to feel bad every time we got in the car, didn't you? You know, it's exhausting. But we've also enjoyed it as well. We've had fun with it as well. We've driven it to Belgium, France, all over this country, and you know, done lots of fun things with it as well. So.